It was supposed to be a peaceful trip home, a simple 2-week visit, a return to roots, to family, to childhood memories. But instead, it ended with eviction notices, crying children, and a marriage torn apart by cruelty, not from strangers, but from blood. And all because 2 men wanted to share a bed. I'm 27 years old. I'm married to a man, 28. He's the love of my life. For a long time, I only dated women. That was just what made sense to me growing up. But when I met him, something shifted. I realized I'm bisexual. I realized I could fall in love with a soul, not a gender. And that's exactly what happened. We got married in the fall of 2018. That makes almost 4 years now. 4 beautiful, complicated, joyful years. We live in Vermont. Quiet, progressive, surrounded by woods and good people. But I grew up in a different world. My family's from a small, conservative Catholic town in Texas. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, and everyone's church knows everything. I was raised there until I was 15, when my dad landed a job in New York City. Suddenly, we were Manhattan apartment people. The culture shock? Massive. But we adjusted, and I grew. Eventually, I came out, first to myself, then to my family. My dad and my younger brother were immediately supportive. My mom needed time, but she got there. Most of my extended family? Not great. At first, but over the years, they softened. Or so I thought. Here's an important detail. My parents didn't sell the old Texas house. Instead, they let my aunt and uncle, who'd just had their 3rd child, live there, charging them only a small amount of rent. It was a generous deal. My aunt and uncle got to raise their family in a big home for a fraction of the cost. In return, they treated it like their own. We'd visit now and then, staying with them. But back when my husband and I were only dating, they had a rule. No sharing a bed under their roof unless we were married. That was their line. And fine. We didn't fight it. We chose peace. After that, we stayed in motels during visits. No drama, no tension, just boundaries. Then COVID hit. No visits for 2 years. No long flights. No Texas. And honestly, that break felt good. But this past summer, my parents decided to organize a family visit. 2 full weeks back in the hometown. They invited my husband and me, and my brother too. I said yes, but insisted on booking a motel like usual, just to keep things smooth. That's when my aunt and uncle pushed back. No need for a hotel, they said. Just stay with us. They were insistent, like uncomfortably eager. They said it'd be easier, said it'd be more like old times. I hesitated, but finally said, okay. I wanted to believe things had changed. That was my mistake. The first night, after the kids were asleep, we sat around discussing sleeping arrangements. And then came the sentence, cold and familiar. So, you and your brother can take the spare bedroom. Your husband can sleep on the couch. It hit me like a punch I saw coming but couldn't dodge. I calmly asked why. After all, we were married now. That's when it started. My uncle said, flat out, because you're not really married, not in the eyes of God, not in this house. And my aunt chimed in, we have children here. We don't want that kind of influence around them. My husband, my kind, gentle, loving husband, just sat there, silent. And then his face collapsed, and he ran out of the room. My uncle laughed. He laughed. I saw red. I don't even remember what I said at first. Just that my voice exploded. I cussed them out, loud and sharp, until the house trembled. I told them they were cruel, bigoted, hypocrites. I told them they had 10 seconds to apologize to my husband, or I'd make sure they'd regret it. They looked at me, stunned, then smug. My uncle crossed his arms. Our house, our rules. That's when I snapped back. It's not your house, it's my dad's. And if you don't apologize right now, I'm calling him. And I'll make sure you're out of here. My brother, bless him, backed me up instantly, said, "You're out of line, and you don't get to say that to him. Not after everything." That's when the kids came down. They heard the shouting, heard me say their family might lose their home, and they started crying. It shattered me. Not because I regretted defending my husband, I never will, but because those kids, they didn't do anything wrong. They just happened to have the wrong parents. We left. My husband was outside on the porch, tears running down his face. I held him, told him I was sorry, told him I'd never put him in that position again. Then I called my dad. He didn't say much, just listened, took a deep breath, then said, "I've got it from here." Within the week, he served my aunt and uncle a 60-day notice of eviction. And now, I'm the villain. I'm getting texts, calls, Facebook messages. How could you? What about the children? You're tearing the family apart. They say I'm petty, that I weaponized my father, that I let my emotions run wild, and now innocent kids are paying the price. And I get it. I do. But here's the truth. No one seems to want to say out loud. They did this to themselves. They invited us, insisted on hosting, insisted we didn't need a motel, then used that opportunity to humiliate my husband. And when he cried, they laughed. I didn't make them say those words. I didn't force them to insult our marriage. I didn't tell them to raise their children with hate. I simply told the truth to the person who owned the house they live in. My dad made the choice, not out of revenge, but out of love. He chose his son and son-in-law over his bigoted brother. He chose dignity over silence, and I don't know how to feel. I still see my little cousins' faces, streaked with tears. I still hear them asking, "Are we going to be homeless?" And it breaks something inside me. I never wanted that. Never. But I also can't pretend like this didn't happen. Because if we let it slide, if we stayed silent, what message does that send? That we accept being treated as less than? That a gay marriage is less real? That love is somehow wrong? No. That can't be the message. So, am I the asshole? Because I told my dad what happened? Because I stood up for my husband? Because I let the truth speak louder than silence? Maybe I could have said it differently. Maybe I could have waited until we left. Maybe I didn't need to shout so loud that the kids came running. But maybe, just maybe, that's what it took. Maybe that moment of pain becomes the first crack in their worldview. Maybe one of those kids remembers this one day when someone tells them it's okay to be who they are. Or maybe they'll grow up resenting me. I can't control that. All I can control is this. I chose my husband. I chose love. And I don't regret it, not for a second. So if standing up for my marriage makes me the villain in their story, then fine. I'll be the villain. Because I know, in my heart, I did what was right. That story is a lot. It's raw. It's painful. And it's honest. What happened here wasn't just a family dispute. It was a clash between two realities. One rooted in love, and one rooted in fear, masquerading as tradition. The truth is, you can't claim to love your family while mocking their marriage. You can't insist someone stay in your home just to insult them. And you certainly can't hide behind rules when your roof is borrowed, and your hate is the rent that finally came due. To the person who wrote this, you're not the asshole. You're someone who stood up in a moment that mattered. To those listening, I want to leave you with this question. What would you do if someone laughed at the person you love most in the world for simply existing? Let us know in the comments. Share your story, because maybe your voice will be the one that someone else needed to hear. This is AITA Story Vault, and sometimes doing the right thing means becoming the villain in someone else's version of the story.